Welcome, everyone, to Homeward Bound Practical and Ethical Considerations when Working from Home. I'm Andre, your host for today's program. Before we begin, here are a few housekeeping items. Materials are available to download under the Supplements tab. Questions can be submitted under the Participation tab. Also included is the discussion board. That board is not monitored by the staff or speaker, and comments are public. We also invite you to take a few moments after the program to share your valuable feedback. The link to the survey can be found under your viewer window. I am pleased to introduce the presenters for this program. Ashley Helene of Demeter Land Development and Jeffrey Allen of Graves and Allen. Jeff and Ashley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andre. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to Homeward Bound, which is our program this morning talking about attorneys who have been moving their practices more and more into their homes and certainly out of their offices. A lot of people say that this is a COVID thing. It really isn't. It really started before COVID, and what COVID did was make a significant impact by increasing the speed at which we were adopting the paradigm shift from a bricks and mortar office in an office building, in an office suite, to people working out of their house just because it was easier and they could. Why do we have this paradigm shift? Why do we have this class today? Because the shifting landscape in law practice makes it vital to understand and appreciate both the benefits of working from home and the risks associated with working from home that are somewhat different than the risks associated with practicing in a traditional brick and mortar law office environment. Who is this program for? It's for every lawyer who's practicing from home in a hybrid environment, meaning partly at home, partly in an established bricks and mortar office, or who is contemplating adopting a work from home hybrid model. Biggest takeaway from this program should be for you that the right tools and careful consideration on your part will allow you to ethically, securely, safely, and effectively practice from home. Andre introduced briefly Ashley and myself to you. We're not going to go into any great detail about our background. The information about our background is included in the packet that you got. Suffice it to say, I will have been practicing law for 50 years in December, and Ashley is much younger than me. I won't give you a clue as to how old she is, but you can just look at the pictures and tell she's a lot younger than me. She practices in a completely different environment. She works in a land development company. I always worked in a law firm. And in the last several years, I've practiced exclusively out of my house. I started doing that in about 2016 or 17 before COVID. And I do maintain a relationship with a office suite in downtown Oakland, which is where I practice, which allows me to, as I need to, use a room in their suite for client meetings or a deposition or what have you. Let's take a look at the overview, the paradigm shift from the 30,000 foot perspective. The bottom line with respect to that is that it's easier, it's more convenient, it's more comfortable in many respects to practice from home. It's also in some respects more difficult, and we need to consider both the advantages and the disadvantages in practicing from home. So to get started with that, Ashley, why don't you tell everybody what our agenda will be today?
Sure. So, in addition to discussing sort of that shifting paradigm from the workplace to the office working from home, we're also going to take a look at some of the technology you can use to create more professional work environment at home, as well as some of the ethical considerations you need to keep in mind when you and your staff are working from home. And then we also want to take a look at both the mental health and the well-being in this new practice environment, because it is a little bit different when you're not going into the office every day. So we want you to be aware of that and things to take into consideration. So the first thing we wanted to take a look at was this survey report that the American Bar Association put out in 2022 called Practice Forward. And in that, they took a look at what life has been like for attorneys working remotely. They noticed that it did not have an adverse impact on the quality of their work, their productivity, or their billable hours. In fact, 87% of the people that report talked to said the workplace allows their lawyers to work remotely. And they did notice the trend that the younger the lawyer, the more likely they were to leave their current job for one that offered a greater ability to work remotely. The other thing they want to take a look at is, what about going to the courthouse? Well, overwhelming number of attorneys, 93%, said that they preferred courts to allow pretrial hearings to take place remotely. On top of that, the majority of the respondents indicated they would prefer everything related to the courthouse take place remotely, except for jury trials.